Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I'm fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. It has actually just rained right now. And maybe you could also let me know where you are watching this particular video from. Ladies and gentlemen, there is one question which I've received from several subscribers on this channel. What next for Raila Odinga after the bipartisan deal with William Samoei Arap Ruto? Majority of Raila Odinga supporters are concerned that Raila Odinga is likely to be shortchanged by William Samoei Arap Ruto. In this video, I want us to look at what next for Raila Odinga. But before we do all those, in case you are watching this video for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is now. Without any further ado, let us dive in straight to the issues. What next for Raila Odinga? We all remember that yesterday, William Ruto requested Raila Odinga to call off the demonstrations. A few hours later, Raila Odinga called off those demonstrations. And I've been paying very close attention to the reaction of supporters of Raila Odinga and those of William Ruto and those of Rigathi Gachagua and Kenyans in general. And there is a trend which I'm observing which really I can't understand. Those who used to oppose these mandamanos are actually very angry that they were called off. And the majority of those people are Rigathi Gachagua's supporters. Why are they angry that the mandamano were called off? And coincidentally, those who used to support Mandamano are the ones who are now happy that they've been they've been called off, especially those who support Raila Odinga. But amongst Raila Odinga supporters, the opinion is actually divided. And yesterday I noted something, the absence of Wajakoya during that particular press conference. Why do you think Wajakoya was not present? So for me, Raila Odinga must do these four things immediately. Number one is to manage the expectations of his supporters. You know, one thing we have to agree to is that the expectations of Raila Odinga supporters were simple. They want the servers to be open. They want the reconstitution of IBC to be done. And they also want the cost of living to come down. Based on what William Ruto agreed to do, for me, he only agreed on one thing, which is the reconstitution of IEBC. How will Raila Odinga manage the expectations of his supporters who believes that servers are going to be open? It is now the time for him to start telling his supporters that probably this is part of our deal. We are going to do this, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. Already yesterday, he issued some demands that, number one, the committee to be constituted immediately. Today we saw Ruto with his parliamentary leadership. He also demanded the release of any individual who was arrested and was being prosecuted because of Mandamano. The 6 MPs, their cases have been withdrawn. And again, the 200 ordinary Kenyans who are arrested in Jacaranda across the country are also going to be released. But he must lower the expectations of his supporters. Number two, Raila Odinga must start thinking of a team to negotiate, because that's where the deal is. The moment he's going to miss the right team, because you know how Raila Odinga operates. Right now is when you will see people who are not part of this thing coming on board. For me, I can suggest for Raila Odinga 4 names if they were to be 4, or 5 names if they were to be 5. And probably you can also help me suggest the names for Raila Odinga, because I'm sure his team are going to watch this. That team should have Ledama Olekina. I don't think that guy can be influenced by Ruto. If he had not been influenced before, I don't think. So he must be there. He must have Edwin Sifuna, being the Secretary General of ODM party. Sifuna should be in that team. He must have Babu Owino. Babu Owino will be able to sniff any monkey businesses around. He should have Babu Owino. The fourth person who should be in this list, I think, is that Kalonzo Musyoka guy, Wambua or Manzo, because those people cannot betray Kalonzo Musyoka. And again, they need to look for now the technical team, people who cannot be easily influenced. Because at this stage, the stakes are so high. Once Raila Odinga institutes this, once Raila and Ruto constitutes this team and they begin work, no reverse gear. Their report is what will be binding. So if you send weak people, if Raila will send weak people there, those people will end up messing him. So that's number 2. Number 3, Azimio politics. These are the moments when Raila Odinga will lose touch. It manifested itself during the handshake. And by the way, is there any difference between bipartisan and handshake? Because most people, especially regarding Gachagua supporters, are like, no handshake, no handshake. What has happened between Ruto and Raila is basically handshake. If you look at Raila Odinga's history, let me just give you a bit of it. Let me divert a bit. During Moi era, it was cooperation, KANU LDP merger. During Kibaki era, it was a grand coalition, nusu mkate. During Uhuru era, it was handshake. Now during Ruto era, it is now bipartisan. The same thing, different wordings. Some people are suggesting that Ruto chose bipartisan because he wanted to confuse Rigathi Gachagua. Let's not go there for now. So he must sustain Azimio politics. How is he going to ensure that the committee which is going to be brought on board will be one which will be approved by the entire Azimio? You know, when he entered into the handshake, Raila Odinga went alone. And that's probably what caused the fallout with the other NASA principles. So he must figure out Azimio politics. How is he going to maneuver around Azimio politics? The other thing he needs to do is the issue of conceding. Raila Odinga is prone to conceding a lot. He's not a good negotiator. And that's why I was suggesting he must have people who can really stand their grounds. So he must figure out that as we negotiate, at what point should I concede? What point should I not concede? He must do that. Because William Ruto is someone who understands him. He understands how he used to concede during the Kofi Annan peace deal. But what next for Raila Odinga? That is the biggest question, and that's the elephant in the house. And by the way, with these rains, it is cold, and I know your teeth will have problems. So I want to refer you to Royal Dental Clinic in Kisumu here, Alpha House. They have a branch in Migori and Homa Bay. So just visit them in case you have any problem with your teeth. Also, they have another branch in Nairobi. Royal Dental, you'll be sorted and you'll come back smiling. And again, there is this StarUp.pro, which I was marketing the past few days, for those who might have noted. If you have any issue, I'll share the contact. I'll actually share the contact and the name in the description of this video, so that in case you have a problem with that, you can deal with them. And now let us focus on what next for Raila Odinga. For me, the first thing Raila Odinga must do is to revive his consultative meetings, which had begun. Maybe he just needs to twerk them a bit so that they are not public rallies, but he can organize a kind of kikao. You remember the kikaos which Raila Odinga used to have before, where he would meet, discuss with the locals their issues. So for me, his strategy this time around would be he should organize these meetings across the country, especially in his strongholds, just to thank the people who stood with him. Because William Ruto is already campaigning, Raila Odinga should also sustain. He must revive his meetings with the people. I'm told he was in Kiambu today. I'm yet to confirm, but he must think, Raila Odinga and his team must start thinking about having consultative meetings. Because remember, Raila Odinga conducted people's consultative meetings, which were majorly public rallies. He did not really have one-on-one. So he must go to the people who voted for him in his strongholds, discuss with them their issues. If it was about nominations, if it was about the coalition, if it was about funding of the candidates, they just need to discuss with the people, but thank them for voting and campaigning for him. That's number one. Number two, Raila Odinga must also, as a matter of urgency, pay very close attention to William Ruto. Because William Ruto is a shrewd politician. There's no way William Ruto can just concede to the demands by Raila Odinga and international community like that. So probably he has other plans. So Raila Odinga must pay very close attention to William Ruto. The team is going to form. The people is going to appoint to that team. How is going to start dealing with Azimio? He must pay very close attention. Because if you want to pay very close attention, William Ruto is going to run away with this bipartisan deal. And Raila Odinga will cry in the toilet. The other thing which Raila Odinga must do for me is to get serious lobbies. One thing became very clear to me, that Raila Odinga does not really have serious international relations. There is no way American ambassador Meg Whitman can praise the elections which was disputed, which went to the courts like that. Raila must focus on getting serious international lobbies, either to be stationed in the UK, in the US, to deal with his international affairs, so that no ambassador can easily come to the country and just talk like that and nothing happens. He must lobby his friends to his cause, because Raila Odinga has actually lost in terms of international relations, if you ask me. I've looked at how all these things happened. In fact, the intervention by international community, if you ask me, is as a result of the biggest mistake which William Ruto committed in his absence. The raid at Uhuru Kenyatta's farm, which was occasioned by Rigathi Gachagua. That is what forced the international community to intervene. Otherwise, with Raila Odinga, I don't think, and probably Raila Odinga must now hand over his international relations department to Kalonzo Musyoka, because Kalonzo Musyoka, I think, has been a minister for finance. He can maneuver here and there. So that's something he must do. What next again? Preparation for 2027. He must sustain the campaign. The country must continue to be in campaign mode. What William Ruto and his team are going to tell him? That you've called off the rallies, therefore allow us to rule. William Ruto can rule the republic, while Raila Odinga is campaigning for 2027. Ruto did this to Uhuru Kenyatta, and I think it is payback time. Raila Odinga must continue sustaining the country into election mode. The moment he's going to lose focus, should forget. Importantly, the other thing he must do is to start identifying individuals to apply for IEBC jobs. The selection panel had gone ahead and they had advertised for these positions. Shortlisting is probably going on. Now, with this bipartisan approach, this is now the right time for Raila Odinga to identify serious politicians. I would suggest a name, but I'm not going to mention the name. But Raila Odinga must look for someone who is a serious banker, who used to manage the transactions of banks every evening as a bank manager, regional bank managers. People will understand. He must get as someone who understands statistics. Someone who understands real statistics and recommend at IEBC. He must get an IT guru in the level of, let's say, Professor Tom Ojanga, or maybe someone like Ochuodo, nothing is lost. He can talk to those people, have them in IBC, because the rigging actually takes place in IBC during result transmission. He must get someone there. And lastly, Raila Odinga must continue working towards building a strong ODM party, a strong Azimio coalition. Because a strong ODM, a strong Azimio will be his only strength. He must go and deal with the rebel MPs. For example, I was telling someone today that Tom Ojianda, my senator for Kisumu, would have been an ideal person for Raila Odinga to recommend to this committee. Then he would have used that to build his profile. But Ojianda messed up. So who do you think Raila Odinga can recommend to this team? Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.